Alright, welcome back. This is another game, another Stormgate cast from me. I am Algorithmore. And this is another game from the Goblin Cluckfest 3 Tokyo Drift that was held just last week. And this is also, again, game 2 from a round of 8 series played between these two players. On the bottom left, here we have Elf playing in the Red Infernal. And up here in the top right of Broken Crown, we have msrm, who unfortunately went down in that first game to a very large force of Gaunts and Weavers. We have an Iron Vault here as an opening from msrm, which looks to be what he did, the same sort of strat from last game, and cheesing out on these Shadow Masses here. The thing about this is when you knock down the trees, then the Shadow Masses run in the back. And I've seen msrm do this more than once now that I'm thinking that maybe that's being intentional. I'm not 100% sure. But the Scout Hexen from Elf also sees what's going on here, gets some good information, decides to teleport out. Also kind of gets in the way of that creeping for a bit. Both of them knocking down those back trees right away. Very interesting. Although msrm going for the Shrine early off of one vault, while Elf is onto Conclaves. Something she did last game as well, which was stay on one base into Conclaves for quite a while she built up a Gaunt force and did some creeping. This map is also pretty good for creeping, especially with Gaunts. And yeah, after getting the speed camp, moves across to the vision camp. And we have creeping, two brutes for creeping here. Same pattern of creeping. One thing is creeping with brutes is a little bit more micro intensive, as you see. You have to run your fiends back, eat the flower, all that stuff. Whereas with Gaunts, it's not quite as bad. You can micro them a little bit easier. Vision camp's captured, and it looks like these Gaunts are saying, well, I'm actually just going straight in the base. And there's a base going up here, and there are no units. So let's kill it. Let's try and kill it. Now, these units, I think this is one reason why you knock down the back. If he had to run all the way back around here, this would definitely go down. But luckily, these units are able to come back. It's only at about a third of its life, maybe a quarter of its life here. Yeah, it looks like... I'm not sure why msrm decided not to engage it, other than maybe thinking it was already lost and there's just no point in you know, engaging until I have the right army to engage with. Now deciding to push down, but these Gaunts retreat. The brutes are just not quite as good at engaging against the Gaunts early game like this. They're just slower, and the Gaunts can always just run away. So a deny on that base means that the late base out of Elf is not so late. It's actually early now, because msrm's second base now going down much later. And now, again, saying, hey, I'm on your side of the map. I'm going to creep your side of the map. Doing a pretty good job. Not going to capture it. I think that's interesting. I've started seeing this in games, and I'm assuming that's intentional, because she could have just sat there and healed up her units. That's what I would have done. So I assume that was just, hey, I'm going to creep it, steal your resources effectively, and then I'll go back to my side of the map. The one thing that it does without capturing it is it allows, it sort of leaves it as though it hasn't been captured from msrm's perspective. So now when msrm has a force, which he has now, he might go and try and creep it, but that would be a waste. Now, he is just sending his Hexen, which I wonder if he knew that that's what had happened. And Elf's gone ahead and creeped her health camp now too, indeed capturing it, and yes, indeed trying to soak in it a little bit to get some healing, at least initially. No, you're coming back saying, let's heal up those units. And again, a pretty nice ball of gaunts. Let's take a look here. Oh, that's the debuff. Thought it was telling me how long until upgrades are done. Do we have a ritual chamber? Yes, and we're about halfway done our plague axes, which it doesn't tell me here, but I think it's a 90-second research. So while waiting for those plague axes to get up, we're going to try and creep this camp, and we've got a scout skull over here saying, hey, what's going on? You creeping this camp? Maybe I can get a final kill. Nope, unfortunately not. If you time that right, you can, but it's a little bit harder when there's gaunts down there that can pick off the skull. Okay, brutes and gaunts up here. Just gaunts for elf. Sticking to the same strategy that she had last game. Continuing to add them. Do we have a greater shrine? Yes, we do. And those plague axes almost done. More conclaves going down. More gaunts coming out of the conclaves. And third base going down. Well, msrm is still a little bit behind in the base count because of that early denial. Okay, more scout skulls. What are you doing? What are you doing? How many you got? Let's see what you got. Can I take you? Both of them being a little timid, telling me that, both of them thinking that I'm not sure if that's a good match for me. Okay. Maybe Gun's waiting for those plague axes, but those plague axes are up now. And elf, I should say. These gaunts are, oh, maybe waiting for that speed camp to rebirth. Oh, that was a cool little play. Getting them to target the effigy. I'm not sure if that's a reliable thing you can do, but it certainly looked cool. I'm not sure whether that gaunt was maybe trying to go get that Luminite camp back. Changed its mind after deciding, no, it's actually go time. We are going. And msrm was like, it's my go time too. I'm going to go out also with plague axes and some brutes. Unupgraded brutes. No Reaper's Rush out of either of them yet. Do we have Reaper's Rush being researched? Yes, indeed. What about up on the top end here? Yes, indeed. Both of them going for the Reaper's Rush. Only difference, msrm with more brutes, and elf just committing really hard to the gaunt play. And with a little bit better macro because of that early deny. Also with pretty considerable supply lead right now, so not only focusing on just gaunt tech, but more gaunts, more unit supply than is added by those brutes, and that now mag being added. And we saw the mags last game were not super effective, and that was because they could not get on top of the gaunts for two reasons. One, the Reaper Rush, which is now up for elf, but also because of the weavers that she had added to her composition, which really helped her yank those magmadons with the lash ability. And we see one weaver saying, hey, I'm gonna go lash you right now. I'm so brave, I'm gonna go walk right up to the front, lash you down, stomp you down, and unfortunately get focused down. And these gaunts do arrive in time to just chase these others back, saying, get away from me. One Magmadon here, doing his trample, but unfortunately not getting a lot of hits, and now being chased down by the Reaper Rush gaunts and being killed for effectively no damage. Actually, I was premature on that. Was not killed. Was able to come back, and now we're seeing a fight on the ramp. And yes, thought we could get some damage on those gaunts, but those Reaper Rush gaunts are just too fast. They were able to retreat and be microed away from the trampling mags, making me think that those Magmadons are just not quite as good a counter as I thought they were to these gaunts. And these gaunts are, again, after the buff, I mean buff nerf, whatever you want to call it, their infest got nerfed, but their damage got buffed. And if if you don't count the Fiend part of the Infest, which was kind of the bad part, you get the damage right away now instead of over time. Well, that's good. So that might be actually a buff to the Infest if you think of it that way. So that's sort of interesting. And of course you can still get Infest if your targets are on Shroud. Dropping that effigy. I like the focus fire from msrm to kill it. But then dropping his own effigy. It's such a confusing meta. Each of them killing each other's effigies. These mags on the low ground looking like getting some good damage, and the army on the low ground is doing a good job against those few Gaunts. And now the Gaunts trying to regroup and gather themselves together, also moving down to the low ground and chasing those units back. So now we're going to see we've got a big Gaunt force here chasing down again with that Reaper's Rush on top of these other Gaunts. They have the Reaper's Rush too. I'm like, why are they moving so slow? It's because they got stuck behind these big slow moving dudes. Alright, so far the Gaunts have been able to keep pushing back this force, and those Mags yet have not been able to get a really good stomp. I think one way msrm might be able to do that is to get a flank or to get a surround of some kind. And there's one getting in right on top of the Gaunts, and another one right on top of the Gaunts, and a third one right on top of the Gaunts. That is some pretty good but very nice micro from Elf to split her Gaunts, move them away, and then focus fire those down while the rest of her Gaunts retreat over here. This smaller Gaunt force of msrm now being chased away from Elf. Three or four slower Weavers following him behind, and it looks like we're now going to get a battle on the ramp, but these Mags showing up just in time to say, back off unless you want to taste my trample. And sure enough, that's the right move for Elf as well. Let's move back. Well, Shrine going down under our nose there, and looks like a fourth base also up here, and it looks like some Fiends doing a little bit of a run by over here up at the top. Alright, catches msrm creeping here and ends up sort of jacking the creeps. This is good for the income there and the speed boost, and to keep it away from msrm. msrm having to back away into his base, knowing that Elf can rotate back and forth here between bases on the low ground, forcing him to respawn with his own army movements. Nice summon Shroud Stone on the high ground there, able to push them back. We got 6 Mags up there now. We got Hellborn added. Only 2 Weavers here. A third one, they do kind of get lost because they're so slow. And Elf moved back to the other side of the map to try and recapture her speed camp. Okay, it looks like just trying to recapture these camps that have respawned. But it looks like Elf's army is creeping right up on top of this, saying, hey, I want to do some damage. And we got a dragon out here, and a Mag gets slashed by the Weaver. We got Dragon's Breath putting Infest out on all those Gaunts, and we've got this army of msrm now retreating, but these Mags turn around and say, I'm going to go in for a full trample, and that's a pretty good trample. Lots of Gaunts going down there. Another one coming in. It's going to get it. Oh, the ones in the back, they trigger their trample instead of the one in the front, but they do manage to trample all the way up to the front, getting some more Gaunt kills, but being focus fired down. There's just so many Gaunts here, able to focus fire down those Magbodons, and unfortunately, all the Infest was able to spawn a whole bunch of Fiends. Those Fiends making it really problematic now. All these Gaunts on the high ground just trying to get some damage in, trying to spawn Fiends of their own, but the Fiends coming from the low ground are doing damage, managing to just zone away, and that's a GG from msrm. Elf taking the series. Thanks a lot for watching, and stay tuned for more Stormgate content.